Hello, hello, hello. I'm here with Roscoe from Portland Timbros. The description of this video says we are just BSing about Portland and Orlando, and that's basically what's going to go on. I don't know how long this is going to last or what we're going to talk about. So if you're, looking for anything but more than some fun nonsense about soccer, this might not be the video for you. But Roscoe, say hello.
Hi, I'm Roscoe. I am one of the core for Portland Timbros, a podcast that we do about the Portland Timbers. Also part of the PTF Collective, which is a collective of artists that get together and create content about the Timbers, but also just about anything. So if you want to check those out, I wouldn't have it any other way. I would much rather bullshit than spew information.
Yeah, I mean, I do some information. I do a weekly match preview, but mostly I just do fan TV. So it's just what other people think. I really, try to reserve my opinion. I get opinionated on Twitter sometimes, but who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll just go. I was in Portland like 2 summers ago, and I saw on your guys' little description of what you guys are is like beer, soccer, and etc. So I was in Portland like 2 summers ago, and we drank lots of craft beer. But like, what is the best brewery in Portland, in your opinion?
Oh man, you're gonna throw me out there to the dogs because everybody has a different favorite. We have a bunch up here. My favorite is Hair of the Dog.
Hair of the Dog, okay.
Hair of the Dog is a great brewery. They all their beers are excellent. It doesn't really matter what one you get. But we also have like the Shoots. We have what else? Widmer's down here. And honestly, I think it's getting better in every other place in the country. But the way I experience beer these days is not necessarily, oh, I have that favorite. It's oh, I want to try something new every single time I drink beer.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's available. It's available to me that way. And I have my favorites, but yeah.
All right, I went to Deschutes and Widmer, and I went to Rogue Brewery, and we went to a little one called Tugboat.
Okay.
That was next door to a Mexican restaurant that had a strip club in the back.
Yeah, that sounds like Portland.
Yeah, but me and my fiance were out there like 2 summers ago, and I loved it. So, yeah, I mean, we would hit all those in the same day, and we're just like, I was like 3 sheets to the wind by the time, by the time we went to like those beers. So, but yeah, and so I got recommended to go to this is the last little bit about Portland. I got recommended to go to Tasty and Adler, and I loved Tasty and Adler. I thought it was like one of the best breakfast.
I think you cut out. But yeah. But the brunch places here are ridiculous. And I don't know if it goes hand in hand with the obvious hangover that you're gonna get with all the beer. But an underrated thing as far as people coming to Portland, you better get your brunch on. And you basically can get brunch on any period of the day. So don't worry about too much of the timing, but you might have to wait in line for the best places.
All right, well, Tasty and Adler is the only brunch on that I got. And I actually went to a breakfast sandwich cart thing that was really cool too. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, food carts are also off the hook. It's just really nice living here.
I have a friend who lives there. She works for Nike, and she got us into like the factory, and we got to go and do all that. So that was pretty cool too. I know it's like, probably something you don't do every day because you live there, but for someone who's visiting, like, it was nice,
Yeah, definitely. I do notice like the younger people and the players specifically. Actually, the players are very young too. I keep forgetting this, but love the Nike store and love Adidas because they get to go in and go hog wild. And it's not like I don't like those things. It's just like I'm like at a point in my life like I'm not a clothes person. Like I got all my clothes, guys. I got them.
Yeah. All right. So, and then onto the soccer. I didn't get to go to a game while I was there. There was a Thorns game when I was there, but I chose not to go to the Thorns game. I heard those are really cool. What's your thoughts on the Thorns games?
The Thorns games are great. I've been to a couple. It's amazing to see that there's not that big of a drop off. from the MLS matches to the Thorns as far as the crowd atmosphere. In fact, those people that go to those games are definitely stuck in and passionate about their team. And we're really excited on the collective to have a Thorns podcast popping up, because that's a very underserved portion of the market, and there's a bunch of desire for Thorns stuff. Yeah, and sort of every one of those teams, you look at the Thorns, you're talking about T2, which is the Timbers' second team, and then the Timbers Academy. You know, like all of these are very well supported in Portland. People are going crazy about this stuff. It's kind of insane. But yeah, all of those are very well supported, and they're all part of one big family, I think.
All right. Well, and the reason that I ask is because, we're just coming into USL with our Orlando team this year. We have, we have the Pride. I got the supporter scarf right there for the Pride's crown.
Yeah,
and that's our supporters group. So, and then, we got Alex Morgan. So, we're all happy about that. We got some, we have some Canadian internationals and Australian international. So, I'm really interested to see about like how our support for that will be. I don't know if it will be quite the same as in Portland, but, I know that that's the team's hopes, and I hope that too. And we have one girl who does a Pride podcast. She started like 2 weeks ago. So,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Queen's Cast. Keep up the hard work. I'm going to do some videos. I'm going to work with a lady here coming up that's going to do something kind of like in the video realm, because that's what I do. I figure, there's tons of people podcasting, tons of people writing articles. So I just make videos because I think it's fun. But yeah, so yeah. I hope our NWSL team is, up there. We'll see. I mean, I'll probably go to like half the home games. Anyway, so tell me a little bit about your podcast. How long have you guys, been going on? And
yeah, we've been doing it for about 3 years. And the first year was a little bit rough. I think that we took an extra long time to find our legs and find out what the podcast would be about. And then I think, last year, heading into the year, I think we kind of really hit our stride, figured it out. I don't know how to necessarily describe us, because I think we're a mix of a bunch of different things. I mean, we have 4 guys, and I think that was a big part of why it took us so long to figure it out, because I think 2 of those guys were like, well, like we're more narrative people. Like we're more like news. We're like more straight-laced. And then you have me and my best friend who are just like joke. And we have a rule that it can't just be me and him on the podcast, because it'll dive into like some nerd fandom about the new Superman movie all of a sudden, and nobody can stop it. And so it's like meshing all those things together has been interesting, to say the least. And now I feel like we've kind of really figured out who we are, what we're doing. And I think it's kind of unique in that way.
And then, you guys are gonna come here in a couple of weeks. The team is not like you and your 3 friends. I mean, if you guys want to come, more than welcome. I'll be happy to show you. I'll be happy to show you around. But the team's coming in a couple of weeks. I know you guys are like a win, a loss, and a draw, right?
Yeah.
And you just in Ridgewell went down to, not last game, but the game before that, for 5 weeks.
Yeah, 4 to 8 weeks, the last thing I heard, but 5 weeks sounds good.
All right, so how do you think, what do you think the game's going to end up stacking like?
Well, I mean, I think early in the MLS season, it's very, very difficult to it's very unwise to put a lot of onus on what's going on. For example, we just took a point back from RSL after going down 2-0 in the last game. And people were really upset about it because we didn't play well. And we played up a man for a long time and didn't score. But after rewatching that game, my feeling was, this is just MLS. This is the way, like, MLS teams are typically sluggish coming out of the gates. Like, and I'm talking about every single team. Also, like, the parity is a thing in any given game. Anything can happen. And then you have just soccer. Like, soccer is that way. You can outshoot somebody. even outshoot them on target, and you still don't win. And that happens all the time in every league. So the 3 games that we played, we haven't really played with a constant game state. So and in the first game, it was a pretty constant game state, but it was the opener. And then the second game we played in like a foot of rain, and you could just really see like the ball's just not going in the right area. Nagby slipped when he had a shot on goal, and then they went down the field and scored. And then in this last game, we were playing up a man and then down. So I feel like what we really know about the team is very minimal. I know from your point of view, we are a little bit weak on the back line right now because Ridgewell's out, but also because we haven't figured out our left back situation. And I think that Zarek Valentine, who we brought in an offseason, has started to get a little bit better, but I kind of sneakily suspect that it's not necessarily him or Taylor who's filling in for Ridgewell. It's that the team doesn't play at its full strengths when they're trying to compensate for these two. And so it basically takes our left arm away when we have Zarek Valentine and Taylor there. And they play fine, and you're not going to like get by them with nonsense. But at the same time, we can't, have that left hook in there. And so I think that we're getting healthier, and we just added 2 pieces that might play against Orlando. So I think, from your point of view, like we're a little bit wounded, but we are the champs. So watch out.
I mean, I don't think you guys lost at home last year except to anybody but us.
I know. That was one of the worst games. One of the worst games I've ever seen the Timbers play. But you deserved it. You played really well.
Yeah, that was one of our best games. So, anyway, yeah. So, who are the 2 new pieces you added? That's funny because we added 2 new pieces recently, and we might see both of them this week. And Kaká should be healthy against you guys too. So, we haven't had him for the first 3 games, and we've gotten 2 draws and a win. So, but who are your 2 new pieces?
I want to add. It might be 3 new pieces. We got Chris Clutie in the offseason, but he hasn't recovered from his meniscus surgery yet. But he did play, I think, 90 minutes in a T2 match a couple days ago. So he might be ready for the game against Orlando. We also added Jack Barmby, who is Nick Barmby's son of royalty. He came up through the Man U Academy and then moved on to Leicester City. Big prospect, still 21. Has really struggled to get minutes even in the lower leagues he was loaned out to. So a little cautiously optimistic, but they say that he can play a little bit of left back, which is one of our problem areas. Then we also added Darren Maddox, third person talker himself. And apparently Caleb Porter has been wanting Darren Maddox for years. And finally, Darren Maddox finally played poorly enough for Vancouver to give him up. So now we got him. And he played about 5 minutes in the last game. Didn't register anything. It was, 5 minutes. But having those guys, I think, is going to be important because in the first game against Columbus, we couldn't make an offensive sub when Porter generally wants to make an offensive sub. And so having those guys, I think, is important.
You mean Jack Mack wasn't coming into the rescue or what?
Up until this season, I have not been a huge fan of Jack McInerney. I have a bias against the poachers. Okay. I'm just like, I feel like anybody would be a poacher. Like, especially somebody good would be a better poacher than somebody not good would be a better poacher. But I will say that he's proved me wrong so far the way he's playing. He has a real nose for finding the areas that are the most dangerous. And he puts everything on target. So,
yeah, I mean, he bounced around a little bit last year, between Columbus and wherever else that he was. And I thought that we had like a front office thing like going on at the beginning of free agency. Yeah. Where we we didn't have a steady hand in our front office. We had like brought somebody in, towards the end of the, off season, and he was like from Portugal. He was like the Benfica youth guy, and we like brought him in, and he was like, I don't know what was going on, but at the beginning of free agency, we missed like a ton of guys that could have helped us. Like, I thought we really could have used more, but Toronto got him. And another guy I would have liked to actually seen what was Jack Mack. Like, I thought that Jack Mack could have been like a good pickup because, our only striker, well, we brought in Julio Batista officially today, the beast. Ugh. He's like, yeah, he's like 30. He's like 34, but he's like Kaká's boy, dude. They're like, so, and he was a free transfer too. So all we got to do is come up with an international roster spot. I don't know how we're going to do that. They haven't said much. We could loan some guys to our second team who's new this year. OCB is in the USL. They actually play their first game on Saturday. So we might loan some guys there, or we might have to buy an international roster spot. I'm not really sure how we're going to do it, but, we just got him. So I'm happy that we got him because we needed a backup striker, which, in full circle brings me back to Jack Mack. Like, I thought Jack Mack would have been a good fit to just, someone to back up Laren and someone he could learn from because, Jack Mack's been in the MLS for a while, Yeah. So that's just my rant on that. I mean, I don't like him or dislike him as a player. I don't have a poacher bias, but I was more or less looking like someone who could come in and get you a goal late, and somebody that like Laren could learn from. So those were like the two things that like in a veteran striker that I thought we needed, and we missed on Jack Max. Our front office was like shuffling around. So
yeah, this is the first offseason I think we've been heavy on acquiring other MLS talent. And we knew that Jack Mack has a pretty hefty price tag as far as the non-DP goes.
Yeah.
And, that was a bit of a new thing, I guess, for the Timbers. And I think that was kind of like, it felt underwhelming. But I think it turns out to probably be the best move they could have made.
And it's really funny because, you brought up Darren Maddox, and I have a bias towards all Jamaican players because my fiance is Jamaican. So, like, Jamaica is, like, my second national team. If, like, I'm not rooting for USA, I'm like, oh, I'll go Jamaica. So I have, like, a bias towards Maddox. Like, I like watched him last year, and I really like his hair is fun. He like does weird things with it, and I'm like I got like short hair, and I'm like kind of balding in the back, so I guess I'm like a little hair jealous that I can't do like super fun things with my hair like Darren Maddox.
We got a lot of reggae boys actually, starting up a contingency now. For a few years they were all Argentines, the Argies as they were called, but now we got a bunch of reggae boys, which I think. They're all pretty young, and I really like sort of the culture that they're building with each other. I think they have all kind of bound together and are mentoring each other. And I think that's huge for Maddox coming into a new team with a fresh start, but also huge for Michael Seaton and a guy at our T2 squad, Renico Clark, who I think is a big-time prospect. You might even see by the end of the season. He's recovering from a knee injury now. And did I just say Michael Seaton?
Yeah, you said Seaton, Clark, and Maddox.
Yeah, and just for those three guys, it's huge to have Taylor and Powell kind of like shepherd them into the first team, especially, coming to a place like Portland, which is not very diverse anyway.
And it's kind of funny that you say that because, I just like live a day-to-day life, but my fiance, every time she meets a Jamaican, she's like, oh, I met this Jamaican. It's like my new friend. So it's like, I think it's just like, almost it's just like a cultural thing. Like, if I meet an American, it's like not a big deal. It's like, oh yeah, I met John, he's an American, But like Jamaicans are like cultural. I have a half a mind to like go run in the other room and ask her to like chime in on this, but I don't know if she'd want to. But yeah, that's just like my take on it. Like, I think that it's just like a totally cultural thing, and it's just like, Jamaicans are just drawn to each other because of the culture, and it's like a very welcoming and a very warm culture just generally. So I think that might have something to do with it.
A quick story about Alvis Powell, actually. We have a Facebook group person that lives in Portugal, and so he posts all kinds of stuff about living in Portugal and then following the team and stuff like that. when we made the MLS Cup, he started a GoFundMe or whatever those things are to get to the Cup. And actually, Alvis Powell contacted him and was like, hey, man, I want to give you some money to get to the Cup. And he's like, he didn't want to do it online. He just wanted to meet him. But he was like, I'm in Portugal. So the guy had his sister-in-law who lives here, which is how he became a Timbers fan, go to a tattoo parlor to meet Alvis Powell, where Alvis Powell gave her some money so our Portugal fan can make it to MLS Cup. And he made it, and it was a great story.
Really? He made it?
He made it.
All on the GoFundMe?
Yep.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's such a great story.
Dude, I should do that for away games. Like GoFundMe, GoFundMe to see, Orlando and Denver.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I just don't have like I'm not endearing enough. Like it just be like, who's that guy?
Yeah, it's like he's just trying to scam us for our money. Anyway, all right. So I don't really. Like I said, I don't really have any specific topics to talk about. Go ahead.
I want to talk about you guys, though.
Sure. What do you need to know?
I don't know. I don't know a ton, obviously, not having lived there. And, I think you got to be a fan of the team to really know what's going on. But last year on the Timbros, we did a Better Know Thy Enemy segment. And basically what we did is we listened to the other team's fan podcasts, and then we would talk about it. We'd be like, these guys think they're going to win, or these guys are scared of us, or whatever. We'd do that segment. And we ended up sort of scrapping it, kind of, because we just couldn't find enough stuff. Like, we weren't going to review a podcast put out by the MLS team, because that's garbage. You know what I mean? No offense, but it's like,
it's corporate.
It's corporate propaganda. Like I work as a social media coordinator for a company. I know the shit that I put out for them is garbage. Like it's just garbage. But they need it. So no throwing under the bus, but it is. I don't want to listen to it. I obviously don't want to talk about it. So we ended up sort of scrapping it. We've now since made it its own podcast, so you can check that out on the PTFcollective.com if you want. But when we looked into Orlando, it's like, wait, these people, this thing just started, and forgive me if I'm wrong. You started out of the blue, right? Like it just.
Who?
Do you have a long history from?
We were well. If you want the whole story, long story short, there was an Orlando City team like in the late '80s that got I think it went defunct and bankrupt, right? And then our current minority owner, our president Phil Rollins, he started a tech company in England. He started his tech company, sold his tech company, bought the USL team in Austin, so the Austin Aztecs, in 2010, and then in 2011 he moved them here.
Okay.
And then we won the USL Cup in 11 in our first season, and in 13, in 11 and 13, and then we lost in the final in 14, and then 15 we played MLS. So we have 2 USL trophies. We have a couple guys still on the team from the USL days. So Luke Bowden, our backup left back, or our left back when Breck Shea's injured, he's actually the most capped Orlando City player of all time. He's got 117 team caps between USL and last year. And then we have Kevin Molino. He's been with US. He was one of the first people who signed with Orlando City in 2011. He's our starting right mid. He had an ACL injury last year, so he's just coming back to full health. But he's looking, he looks good. I think he needs to he looks confident, but not when he's about to shoot. So I don't think his shooting confidence has fully been remedied, but the rest of his game looks good. Yeah. And sometimes he tries to make too cute of a pass, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But this is just me nitpicking. I think he's a great player, and he's a very solid right wing. And he was really on the slight side before he got injured, and he put on, it looks like, I work out when I can. I'm not like some kind of like gym dude, but it looks like he gained maybe, 15 or 20 pounds of lean muscle while he was doing his ACL recovery. And he's played, I think he played 60 minutes the first game and played 90 minutes the next two games, or 90 minutes the second game. Anyways, he's played a chunk of minutes at the beginning of the season and looks healthy. And then there's like an all MLS dude who's just been around the block, Lewis Neal. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was on DC for a while, but he was one of the first signings, and now he played for us last year. We took him back in the expansion draft, and then this year this year they got this guy having like 10 different roles. He's like a youth team academy coach. He's the OCB, which is our new second team captain, and they have him broadcasting the first game. So like as a first team player, he's serviceable, but he's like the ultimate clubsman and like is so proud of the badge, and so they have him around. And then we have two if you count Harrison Heath, that's the coach's son. He came the last year of USL and then made the transition with MLS. Darwin Surin, you got to know who Surin is if you followed any kind of Orlando City last year. He's a CDM. He was like one of our best players. He played in the USL for a year for us. We have two homegrown players. Tyler Turner's a right back. He's going to play on the second team in OCB. And Tommy Redding has actually been a revelation for us this year at center back. He was on the USL team. He played like 8 minutes last year. And then this year, for injuries and for whatever reasons, he's made it into the starting center back role. In the first game, he looked shaky, and then he's gotten better and better. And, I don't think he's ever looking back. In my opinion, he's a U.S. team under 20 guy. And I think Tommy Redding is going to be a name to remember. So we have like a core of the USL guys still around, and our fan base, like you can see here on the Ruckus, that's one of our main supporters groups, and our other main first team supporters group is Iron Lion Firm, and both of those have been around from USL. So I know you guys came from USL, and then you went to MLS, and then you grew at tenfold. And I think that honestly, like, I think that like if there's any kind of mold where we would want to fit it, it would be like we want to go on the Portland mold. Like we're all like trying to bring in all the young players last year, and then this year we just made 2 veteran signings, and that's like the rest of our team is young. It's like before, because we just brought in Nocerino. He's an Italian. I think he was on AC Milan. We just brought him in. He could play all 5 midfield positions, and then we just brought in officially today Julio Batista, the Beast. He's a striker, midfielder. We got him to play striker, and I'm hoping he'll tutor Laren. I don't know how much Portuguese Laren speaks, but hopefully they'll find some way to bridge that gap, because that dude's been around the block. He's been on Madrid. He's played with Kaká. He's been on Arsenal. He's been on a Sao Paulo. He's been on like so many teams. So, but as far as our growth goes, USL to now, we've grown, and like the USL team we were the deal in the USL. So I think a lot of the USL guys came and were like, yeah, we got this, like playoffs, like, and then no dice last year, but hopefully this year we're knocking on the door. I think, the club sets out, playoff or bust this year for us. And they said it last year too, but only one expansion team ever has made the playoffs. So I think that was like kind of a stretch. And then, this year, I think we'll be right in there in the East, man. I think we, a 4 seed, a 5 seed. I mean, I think we'll top out at a 3 seed. I don't think we have the depth to win the East or for the Supporters Cup right now. I don't think we have the back line to win, to be honest with you, because I talked about Reading, but next to Reading, man, has just been just don't even get me started, dude. It's been whatever. I don't even want to talk about. We have Aurelian Collin on our bench, just sitting there because of some kind of like visa status change or something. So, and he's like not playing, and everyone's like, why is Collin not in? So I don't know why Collin's not in, but Hines has been there, and we have Mateos is hurt. He just started training again today. So, I mean, for our game and whatever, it's in like 10 days. This is like, I know like our teams chose not to play during international duty, and that's cool because that killed us last year. But it's like, bro, I need a game in here. Like, so I think you guys will see Redding and Hines. Redding like owned David Villa last week. Like, put him in his pocket. We were like joking about it. Like, did this really just happen? Like, this dude's 19. David Villa is supposed to be like one of the, big guys in the MLS, and Redding looked really good last week, and it was like, so, and he's a nice guy. He's like really humble, and he's like really hardworking. So I hope the best for Redding. Everybody who follows my Twitter account or watches any of my videos know I'm like a Redding homer. So I like called for it like weeks before the season. I was like, Redding's gonna start. Redding's the deal. Like, so, but and then we got Kyle Larin up top, and Seren and Higuita is our defensive midfield, and that's like really the strength of our team is in the defensive midfield. So like those dudes are like animals. They just it's like caged beasts in the defensive midfield. And honestly, we're still kind of gelling offensively because Molino was hurt. And then we got the two new pieces. Our left wing Rivas, who played big minutes, he's a DP. He's like if it rains, he's like, oh, my hamstring. Like, so he's just like so hurt all the time. So like, and we have Winter, we brought him in from some Swedish team last year. So offensively, we're like really trying to get going, and Kaká hasn't been in. So, I think it could either go one of two ways when we play you guys coming up. Like, either everyone's going to get in there and it's going to be some kind of, oh, we're hyped up, this is like the champions, like we got to do our best, we got to beat them, or it's just going to be like really disjointed because people are trying to all get on the same page. So, I don't know which way it's going to go. And like you said, MLS is hard to predict.
Yeah, I do think the Timbers have had a rough time so far of breaking down compacted defenses, which I'm kind of a little bit skeptical of that because who doesn't?
Right.
And also, like, isn't that kind of a little bit of hindsight, right? Like, they're compacted when they don't give up a goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you have a tight defense, you want to play on the counter, that has been a recipe to beat us. But I kind of think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. I think that playing rough and getting away with it causes us some trouble.
Okay.
I think it's more like that. So you play physical, and you're not giving up cards in the box, or the ref's not trying to set out to make the game I guess manageable. We've had trouble in the past with that. But yeah, I'm rooting for you guys because not only not this week, obviously. I hope you lose badly, but all the rest of the weeks, I hope you do well. Because, I'm just learning about the successes of the franchise on the field. But off the field, it looks like you guys are really passionate, and you guys are really creating something that's relatively new, but is really successful. And I think, all the power to you.
Just our supporters culture is like, it's real and it's serious, and like it's, people make it like their lives and are passionate about it. And there's like, I get like goosebumps just talking about it. Cause like, last year, I went to USL games. I wasn't like the biggest USL fan. And then we played our last USL season at Disney, and I'm like anti-Disney. Like, I don't pay the mouse. Like, that's like the joke. That's like the joke in Orlando. Like, no matter which way you parse it, like you'll end up paying the mouse. And I don't do that. I avoid Disney. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'm an Orlando City fan. I went to like maybe like 50% of the games in USL I went to, and tickets were cheap. They were like buy one, get one free, $10,
Just as a side note, like make your own stuff like you're doing so you don't have to watch the bullshit ESPN stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm just out there. Well, we can touch on that. But anyway, so I didn't go to any of the last games because I refused to go to Disney. It's like 45 minutes from my house. Like, I just don't want to pay the mouse. But anyway, yeah. And then back to the channel. I just do this for the fans, man. The fans are the people who don't have a voice. Like, so that's like, all the Premier League teams. That's how I didn't even come up with a fan TV idea. It's just like, I saw everyone in the Premier League is like, yeah, fan TV, like every team's got one. And I was like, dude, I want to do that. I want to talk to fans. I want to meet people. Like, I want to be out there. I want to let people be heard. So that's why I do it. I love doing it. And I love talking to fans. And there's like a supporters podcast. We have like 10 independent blogs. It's just like,
I know, right? Like that's what I was looking at. I was like, dang, there's a lot of these guys. I do have to ask you one question though.
Go ahead.
Now, and I'm sorry because I don't know the specifics and I don't know the name.
No worries.
But there was a podcast last year that tweeted out something that wasn't cool, and then they immediately deleted their account. I think.
Yeah.
Did they go away? They're just like done. I'm done. After that.
I will talk to you about that extensively off camera.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Seriously, I will, because that guy is my friend, and I don't want to say anything that will be on the internet forever. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, no, all good. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. I'm happy to tell you what I know, but it's just like that. Like the team looked really down on that, and that was the end of that. But I'll tell you.
Well, I'm glad you're doing that.
Let's move on.
One thing that I don't enjoy is just public shaming.
Yeah,
it's not the right way to go about affecting change. And so I'm glad that you're doing that. I was just curious.
Yeah, no worries. And you got any other? Did I cover what you wanted to know for like?
No, man, this has been great. Like this is great. Like I love that you broke down some of your history because I know a lot of people probably don't know about it, and the fact that all of this is happening in Florida, a state not known for their supporter culture of anything.
Well, I don't know if that's a fair statement.
Okay.
Because no, it's okay. It's okay. Because like I'm gonna all right. Nobody in Miami is a fan of any of the teams unless they're good. Bottom line, I'm making generalized statements. Okay. So that obviously there's the one dude who's been a Dolphins fan since the 60s, and he's like the all-time Dolphins guy, right? Okay, but generally those teams, Beckham, Miami is going to be the same way. It's just all right. And then the Bucks are like hit or miss. So there's like some dedicated Bucks fans, but there's like not so many of them that it's like apparent. You know what I mean? But like there's dudes that are there. And then the same with the Lightning. Like when they're good, there's fans there. So, but the reason that I say your statement might not be, upfront is because college football is real here. Like UF and FSU and like it's real here. Like people get like pissed in arguments at bars, like just because you're like, it's serious. So I mean, outside of that, it's then your statement may be a little more accurate, but I just got to put that little one note in there. College football is really, really serious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly coming at it from the pro sports. Like, the Marlins have always had trouble, and also just with Beckham coming in, having that sort of he has a poison pill deal with MLS where he has to pay like I think a third of the franchise fee. Which, by the way, MLS is surviving on these franchise fees. Well, so go ahead.
I think just from what I've gathered, he's paid it already.
Oh, he's paid it already.
He paid it, and then he paid the initial 25 mil, and now they're waiting a stadium approval site by the league to approve the team, but they have a stadium site, and the city said they'll change the transportation so all the public transportation runs to it. But then I also read that right after they got the stadium approval site, Beckham sold his rights to some Qatari. I'm going to say this wrong. Qatari guys for like $150 million. So I don't even think, and just retained like a 1% like face of the franchise ownership thing.
Oh gosh, all of that sounds so bad.
Dude, and they're called the Southern Legion is their like supporters group. They troll Orlando City online so hard. And it's just like, you guys don't even have a team yet. Like you don't even have a team. Like, how are you gonna troll us without a team? Like you don't even have a player, not one, But that is what it is. Anyway. But yeah, so it's all right. Well, I'm glad I could break all that down for you. And you said you had one other thing that I think I got off topic.
No, I think that was it. I was just, I was just happy about that because it's fascinating. I think for people who might listen to this on my side, just to understand like how you guys came up and what you guys are all about.
Well, they said like they had to bring in an owner. So like our majority owner is a Brazilian guy. That's how we got Kaká. He like works with Kaká and his non-for-profit foundation in Brazil. and they're like boys, and I can't pronounce his name. It's like, I'm not even gonna try, but anyway, it's Flavio did something. But yeah, so that's it. But yeah, so that's how we got to MLS. That's like was the majority source of the funding, and then I think he like wanted to get away from the USL culture, and that's what was happening in our front office. This is just my outside take. I have no information like more than anybody else in Orlando, like other than the team. Like, and then he tried to bring in the guy and get away from who got us to where we were, because like we've always been like our history is as a transparent team, and like supporter, like our supporters culture is like a big part of it. And then this Flavio brought in this guy Sereno from Portugal to like be the run things, and like our old GM left, Paul McDonough. He went to Atlanta, and like he's the one that got Breck Shea here. He's like used to be an MLS agent. He like knew the MLS in and out, and we like got rid of him. And then there was like so much like one of our like Ian. This is just so minute, but there's like one of the USL players, his name's Ian Fuller. Keith was trying to teach him how, like, get him on the ropes in coaching, right? And he got fired for no reason. Nobody ever found out why. Like, and so like the fans, how they were holding up picket signs outside of the office on a Friday afternoon, being like, your investment is our lives. Like, it's like our well-being. Like, this is what we love. Like, you're messing with it. Like, it might just be money and dollar to you, but it's not that to us. And then shortly thereafter, like, it got like a whole got spun around, and that guy left like on his own terms, and like then now Phil Rollins is running things again, and like it's all back to greener pastures, so to speak. So it's like, the dude you mentioned, he always, on the podcast that's gone now, he always says that like this is a movement, and it's like the team is like a movement in Orlando, and it's like bringing people together. And I always love that statement by him. That's like one of my favorite things, because it's just like it is a movement, and like I can't even put it in better words, but it's like you can feel it when you're at the stadium. And I hope we have an extra ticket. There's 3 of us that have season tickets, and we have 4. So if you ever make it down, like let me take you to the game. Like it's real. It's serious, and I think it's something special, and I think it's going to be long term too, because our stadium, we averaged 33,000 in attendance last year, only second to Seattle, and our new stadium is only going to hold 27,000. So it's like they're losing what is that, 6,000 seats, Yeah. But anyway, all right.
I do want to finish on this though. I have one more question for you. How great does it feel to have Kyle Larin?
That guy, he scores when he wants.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's I mean, like at the beginning of last year, we weren't scoring goals at all, and he was like forced to go in. Like we had no other choices than to put Larin in, and it's just like we put him in, and it's just like goals are just like. But with that said, we're also kind of dependent on those goals, right? So before Larin came in, we were only getting goals from Kaká penalty kicks. So it's like it's awesome because like he's gonna score at some point. Like even if it's not, let's just say he doesn't score versus Portland, like he's gonna score the next week. You know what I mean? It's like there's not too long. Like he just knows he's just in the right place at the right time, and he can like just turn nothing into something, and it's incredible. I mean, it's like, and he's like 20. Like he's not gonna be here for long if he keeps this up. So I mean, I hope he keeps it up because I want to keep cheering for it. But yeah, here the 2 like Orlando things are he's that guy, and he scores when he wants. So, but I love Kyle Larin's and he's a nice guy. They like when he's like out and about, you run into him, he'll like sign an autograph. And like during the open, we had like an open practice autograph session thing. Like obviously everyone like flocks to Kaká, and then to Breck Shea, and then to Larin. So you had like the 3rd biggest line, but he was out there just all night. Like, so yeah,
it's cool.
But I mean, you guys got Addy. He's good too,
The orthodontist.
Yeah.
He only does braces.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. But all right, well, if you got no other questions for me, we should probably wrap it up. We've been a while. I mean, I don't mind. But all right, guys. Well, thank you, Roscoe, for coming on. Portland Timbros on Twitter. You can find their podcast. You want to give any other shout outs for yourself?
We have all of the podcasts that come from Portland come onto one site, PTF Collective. There's a lot of great stuff on there. It's ptfcollective.com. So check that out if you want.
And that's all for our time, and we thank you for yours. Peace out,
Thanks, man.
guys.
See ya.
Yeah.